Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 65 of the Kiss Army Things podcast. My name is Xander.
My name is Daphne.
My name's Jeb.
So today on Kiss Army Things, if you watched the last episode or even the one before that, you know what we're doing. We're going to be looking at the 4 solo albums that came out in 1978. Now, of course, it is September, and this is the month when those 4 were released. What you didn't know is that Jeb was going to be joining us. I didn't either. It was kind of a last-minute thing.
Whoa.
How's it going, Jeb?
Great.
Good, awesome.
It's the first time that all three of us have filmed together, so this is fun.
Yeah, for
true.
real. We've all been together on the 1 Second Song Challenge, but never for a podcast. So it's kind of nice. We're going to be talking about the 4 solo albums. So please, if you're joining for the first time, like and subscribe. We got episodes coming all the time now. Thank you so much for joining us. And so, Daphne, what you got there?
I have something special before we start our discussion today. As some of you might know from us discussing it before, we have been anxiously awaiting the arrival of the new Blood Orange Gene Simmons Moneybag soda.
Yes.
And we finally got our hands on some, and we're going to try it today.
Yes.
There's one for you, Jeb.
Thank you.
No, you're having a root beer, but we're gonna share. We're gonna share the orange and see how it is.
I'm
But yeah, so
excited to
the
try
new
it.
flavor just came out. We've been waiting for it. We haven't seen it in stores yet, but there was actually a really nice deal over on moneybagssoda.com where you got like
Yes.
30% off.
Yes. I
And
saw
so
that.
that's where this came from. So let me know what you guys think of it.
Oh my gosh,
Cheers.
it smells
We've
so
not
good.
had one yet, so
I'm
this is-
so excited for this.
This is the first time that any of us is trying the new Blood Orange.
Oh wow.
Dude,
So
Wow.
is it like
Yeah,
a
try it.
soda?
Yeah.
that's like a Fanta Deluxe.
Yeah,
That's really good.
Yeah.
I was hoping it would be
it's really good.
like a Fanta, but
It is.
It's like bougie Fanta, like
It's got the
fancy
cane sugar
Fanta.
Fanta.
Yeah, yeah.
A, it's really sweet.
It's very
It
sweet.
is.
B, there is no heartburn aftertaste.
No.
For some reason, whenever I quit drinking Crush and Fanta and those drinks, because for some reason orange soda
It's
always
very-
gives me the hiccups and it makes me, I don't know, gives me
Yeah, it's
heartburn
not
and
a
stuff like
harsh
that.
orange,
So this is
it's-
not a harsh soda.
No, it reminds me. It's like kind of like orange dreamsicles. Like it's kind of like that in
There you
soda
go.
form. Like it
It's
has a
not,
little bit of a creaminess to it.
It's not like high acidity.
Right.
Like
Right.
a lot of
Yes.
those orange
Or
drinks
sour,
are. Like
or
That's
you feel
the
it on
right
your
word.
teeth. This one's just smooth like the other money bags.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Fits
absolutely.
right in. I this might be my favorite bottle.
hmm
I love the dark label.
It's very
with the
Halloween.
orange on
Yeah,
it. Oh,
yeah.
hey, there
It's
you
very
go.
Halloween. It makes me think of pumpkins and Halloween.
That looks great.
But as far as the taste goes, I think it's a perfect summer soda.
It's my new favorite.
It's going to be, hopefully this
Yeah.
one stays in stays in production, and then we'll be drinking this next summer. But anyway, so as we're enjoying our new sodas, does anybody have any honorary Kiss spotlights? I feel like the 4 albums from 78 would be our spotlight. So
Yeah.
has anybody been jamming anything else in the
Yeah.
past couple of days?
well, I made the mistake of not listening to the 4 solo albums in preparation.
Okay, so Jeb did not get the assignment.
That's true. Well, no, I got the assignment. I'm just
You didn't turn
Didn't
it in.
do it.
I'm getting I'm getting
You're getting a zero.
on that because I didn't feel like listening to them. But I did. I was talking to Xander earlier that I finally got a vinyl copy of Destroyer Resurrected. This record store was selling a sealed copy of the Walmart edition, the orange vinyl, the translucent orange. I thought, well, those are really kind of hard to come by, at least in the still in the shrink wrap, completely sealed. So I bought it and listened to it, and it sounded absolutely fantastic. Since the 45th remastered edition and the box set came out, I hadn't gone back and listened to the Resurrected because it kind of replaced it in a way. But listening to it on vinyl in the way it sounded, I texted you. I said that actually gives the 45th remaster a run for its money.
And it's 10 years
It
old,
sounded
too.
That good.
Yeah.
It sounds that good, and it's not even the black vinyl; it's the orange vinyl. So
Yeah.
that Destroyer is almost never my spotlight, but that Destroyer Resurrected copy I bought was phenomenal, and I've been loving it.
Nice.
I do not regret it.
I've always been impressed with Resurrected. Even after 11 years, 12 years, whatever it's been, I still think that it was a true remaster in the realest sense. And it still holds up because even with the 45th, I still think Resurrected is almost better.
Ooh.
It's I think
Maybe it's just comparable. but-
quality-wise, I think they're because they're different. Resurrected's a remix. Ezrin went in and did all stuff that is like over the top as far as remasters go.
Yeah.
Like we were talking earlier, they kind of started all over again, taking all
From
the
the ground
tracks.
up,
Yeah,
yeah.
they did it from the ground up. Whereas we don't really completely know what they did for the remaster of the 45th. I think they're both like actually probably both 10 out of 10s for me. The way they sound and the quality of them are great. They're just different.
Okay,
It's up to preference, and sometimes I think now I prefer the Resurrected because I think the drums sound better.
Yep.
And but the overall clarity of the 45th remaster it just sounds magical.
For sure. And I haven't heard the Dolby 5.1, so I could be missing out on something with the 45th. I have not heard that specific version, so that may be like the end all be all, but
it is.
As of right now, I'm into Resurrected.
It is, but it's not everyone likes it because it is possible for something to sound too clean.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean,
that's true.
The clarity is so it's kind of surreal. It doesn't sound real at that point.
It doesn't sound like an album from the 70s.
No, it doesn't. Whereas, if you buy it on vinyl or something like that, you're going to get that warm analog vibe.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a magic in its own. But it is an experience. As well as the Creatures, that one blew me away, which we did in the review.
Oh, yeah.
Just blew me away.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So there you go. Destroy Resurrected is your honorary spotlight. The only thing I've been listening to is side B of Hot in the Shade.
You finally got to side B.
I had side A on twice and just kind of left side A playing and never bothered to turn it over.
That's weird.
What?
In my head, like Hot in the Shade, because it's such a long record, kind of strange they put it all on one album.
Yeah, you're right.
Which was kind of a new thing at the time. I was like,
yeah, you're right.
We can fit 78 minutes of music on one vinyl, which Def Leppard did with I can't remember which album. Hysteria, I think, was like the first album to have that much music on it, and then since then people just pressed way more songs on other albums.
Yeah, I know they were excited for CDs too, to fill up entire
that's what
CD.
It was.
Yeah,
that's what it was.
How can we fill an entire CD? And then I think even Metallica did that too with like Reload or
that
Load.
Makes sense.
They just maxed out. They actually they got a call back from the label and said you need to remove this much from the song because we can't fit it.
They went over.
They went over the amount of time.
So they really maxed it out.
They really maxed it out.
The kings of that were Red Hot Chili Peppers. Listen to any of their albums from the 90s, they're way too long.
See,
they're like all over an hour long. If they're I'm like, whoa. That's what I don't like about albums today. They're all like 2 hours long. All my favorite albums are like 45 minutes.
45 is like a perfect sweet spot.
Yeah, single album. So Hot in the Shade, that's like, wow, one record. Cool.
Yeah, but I finished side B, so that's my spotlight. But no, I think the 4 solo albums are going to be what our main spotlights are.
Definitely.
That's going to take us throughout the episode. And I figured that we would just take it Gene, Paul, Peter, Ace, divide this up into 4 sections, talk about each of the 4 solo albums, and just talk about our favorite songs, our least favorite songs, what we liked, what we didn't like, what was good about the album. So let's just start with Gene Simmons. Who wants to start talking about Gene Simmons' solo record? Jeb, I know this one ranks pretty high for you.
I love it. I can start, sure. I don't know why I like it as much as I do. Because I have an understanding that quality-wise, I don't actually think it's as good as Paul's or Ace's. Mm-hmm. But about half of that record is just absolute perfection. And the other half is kind of okay.
Yeah.
Where you're like, these, maybe that one was rushed. Or like, that it doesn't seem like he was putting it. There's about like 5 songs on that album that are the best of all 4 of the solo albums.
Oh,
so interesting. What are some of those songs to you?
I can name a few of them, but I want to look it up on Spotify because I'm going to forget something. I know "See You Tonight" is one of them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
To me, it's an absolutely flawless song.
Yeah, I feel like even though I don't listen to the solo albums that often, I already had a soft spot in my heart for that song because of Unplugged. That's such a good version of it that I already love the song. And so
I don't think I would love it enough if it wasn't on Unplugged.
I might not either, but it is. I feel like it showed me how good that song is, even on the studio album.
The Unplugged version is spectacular.
Yeah.
I'm so happy they played that because that's the only thing they play off any of the solo albums, isn't it?
They played a little bit of stuff on the Dynasty tour.
I'm saying just on the
Unplugged.
Oh, on Unplugged.
That's the only one they pulled.
I'm sorry. Yes, for Unplugged, that was it.
Random.
It was kind of random.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't play anything from Paul's. So I wonder how Gene was like, "Hey, can I sneak one in?" And it's like, "Yeah, sure, whatever."
Yeah.
As long as I can do my big wailing and I still love you, you can do whatever you want. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. But that's funny how Gene got one solo album on Unplugged.
Right. So yeah, "See You Tonight." It's a perfect song in every way. Moving on to "Man of a Thousand Faces."
Yes.
That song is equally they're equally as brilliant. The songwriting, is singing, everything the way it sounds. It's a perfect song. Mr. Make Believe is the same way. That's a flawless song.
I love both those songs a lot.
Like they're all up there. And then, so those were 3. Maybe I was being exaggerating with 5.
Radioactive is at the top
Radioactive
of
a
my
lot.
list. I love Radioactive.
That's I like that one a lot, but that's it's like above average. Always Near You, Nowhere to Hide is actually kind of an underrated one in my opinion.
Okay.
Interesting.
I like his vocals on that. And you know what? When You Wish Upon a Star, I used to hate. I unironically love that.
Really?
Really?
Because
Okay.
that is like the most Gene thing you could do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the most Gene thing, but not the most demon
Not
thing.
the most
for
demon
sure.
thing.
And you know what? I don't even care.
Yeah.
Because this is most of the record isn't a demon thing to do.
It's not.
The only thing
It's
that's
not.
demon-esque is like the first 30 seconds of
I
the
know.
album.
You think it's gonna be with that laugh, and then it just takes a turn,
And now we're
it
to,
takes
like,
turn after
pop.
turn.
Oh yeah, we're in like Hodgepodgeville, where it's like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of whatever.
Yeah.
And even the songs that are kind of lackluster don't bother me. Like Burning Up with Fever is not a great song.
No, but musically, I love it. See, to me,
Yeah, it's fine.
like
I mean,
that song makes up for it musically. Because my problem with Gene's solo album a lot of the times is the lyrics. I can get over the fact that not every song is God of Thunder, not every song is this or that. To me, it's just Gene's songwriting was never, unless he was like really putting pen to paper.
Yeah.
But when Gene wanted to write a song, he could write a song in 30 minutes, and then write one more in 30 minutes, and then write 2 more in an hour, and then out of those make 1 or 2 songs, and then repeat that for 8 hours a day, and boom, there's your album.
Yeah,
Right.
that's,
And so to me, that just kind of shows in the songwriting. You were saying, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. That's my number one complaint with Gene is that even those songs that you mentioned that are your favorites and are also my favorites on this album, like See You Tonight and Mr. Make Believe.
oh, brilliant.
I love those songs, and I think they're also some of the best songs in the album. But lyrically, they don't make any sense. If you read those lyrics on paper,
Yeah, no.
it just feels like he's just spitballing.
No doubt he was spitballing.
Yeah, which is fine, but I do feel like when he puts in more effort, he is a decent songwriter. He just doesn't.
Correct.
Here's a part from
God.
Tunnel of Love.
Don't read Tunnel of Love.
You're wanting my disease. You'll have to do as I please. You'll jump off the roof if I say. I won't let you get away. Like that's the lyric, right? That's the verse, pretty much.
So
Wrote
as
that
I
in
was
sleep.
as I was listening to these, because I had to listen through all 4 of them, because even though I was really familiar with Paul's, most of Gene's, and decent amount of Ace's, I hadn't listened to the rest of Ace's or much of Peter's at all. So I kind of re-listened to all of them, and I was listening to them in my car on my drive like to and from work. But I wanted to take notes on some of my thoughts along the way, but obviously I can't be taking notes while driving. So I was just doing text to or speech to text notes in my phone after every song. And what song were we just talking about? Tunnel of Love.
Tunnel of Love.
One of the things I put once I realized what this metaphor was, I was
Tunnel of Love.
this is just female love gun.
Wow.
Wow.
It's just the
That blew my mind.
It's
a
That's
just,
little bit.
hilarious.
it's
It
just
never
the
occurred to me.
reverse.
Tunnel of Love.
That
My love
never
gun is going to
occurred.
go into your tunnel of love. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny.
Yeah.
Gene's ripping off Paul.
Right.
That's
He's
hilarious.
like, that's a good idea. Let me reverse that.
How do I
I'm
reverse
gonna turn
that?
that on its head and
So
put that on
that
the
cracked
solo
me up.
record.
That is funny. I've never ever made that connection. Just real quickly, here's some lyrics from True Confessions.
Oh, this one.
I'm
like
not
that.
your social security. I'm not your star opportunity. Oh, baby, you can have me absolutely once you give me true confessions.
Well,
What does that mean?
Go ahead, Jeb.
I don't. Okay.
I love Gene.
Most of the music that I listen to, it's not for the lyrics.
Right, right.
And Kiss, they're literally my favorite band of all time. And I'm not these lyrics need to really
Right.
do
Right.
something for me.
I get that.
No,
It's just
no.
about the way it makes you feel in an
Yeah.
abstract way.
Absolutely.
That's purely the way it is.
Absolutely.
But about True Confessions, throughout the album, and that song in particular has got some really good backing vocals
Yes.
from some women singing. Good, it's just good. It just sounds good. Like
Right.
it's not like, wow, that blows me away. But apart from those key songs, it's an okay record.
Yeah.
Right.
But
There's
yeah.
a lot of filler.
And then, you know what? If I could rate, I don't even know if I could rate that out of 10. Because as far as an album experience, it's not great. It's just like an album,
Yeah, no,
song
it's
to song, and
front to back. It ends with
it's so hot.
When You Wish Upon a Star.
It's
I-
all over the place.
I'm okay with When You Wish Upon a Star being there. I just wish he either would have put it somewhere else on the album and not at the end.
Really?
I don't like the way it ends. Or just done something else with it.
Production-wise, it's
like I-
still very off-putting.
I I understand in a way because I think the song means a lot personally to Gene.
Right.
So I get it in that way, and I get the lyrics of it, but just the way, I wish he would have done something more interesting with it. It just sounds like it came straight out of a 40s or 30s Disney movie. You know what I mean? Like, I just wish he would have done something a little more interesting with it.
I you know what? I think that's the perfect ending to me.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
Because it's so, again, it's so stupid. It's Gene.
It is very
I know,
Gene.
but I don't want it to be stupid. I want it to be cool.
I know, but there's something to me, and you know what? To me, it is cool. Like, I'm not saying like
That's fair.
I like it ironically, like I unironically
I love that for you.
enjoy that as the last song because it's so
I like it for what it is. It's just so out of place.
it's the whole album is.
That's true. That's true.
And it's the same thing with the Asshole record from 2004.
Yeah.
It's the same deal, even
Yeah.
more so, even more of a like hodgepodge of sounds, and it takes a left and a right turn. But to me, that ending is really cool. And I used to hate it. I used to I wouldn't even play it on the album. I would skip it. And now I sit through it and I'm like, I don't know why, but this grew on me a lot. I think that was one of the coolest things he did on the record.
Yeah, for sure. I try to like it, and it's not that I hate it, because I mean I do see, why Gene did it. It's a song that really resonated with him, especially being an immigrant in America, and so he put that on there as a staple of who he is and where he came from. But I think I'm with you. It just feels out of place. And production-wise, I feel like I'm in a meadow frolicking. Like it's just da-da-da-da-da-da, and I'm like, I don't know if I want that right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Just
It feels like
that's
an
just my
odd place
opinion.
to land on.
But to me, it seems like, and perhaps this is somewhat similar to the other ones too, and we'll find this out, is that Gene, I don't think, was able to compensate for the other three members of the band not being there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he had his Gene Simmons songs and, was doing this and that, but there wasn't really any strong guitar solos like you might hear on the Kiss album with Ace. And you didn't have any, you had some really good background vocals, but, it didn't sound quite like, maybe Kiss group vocals singing.
Right.
So Gene, I think, did his best, but musically, I don't think he's the most talented in the band, and I think we all can agree on that perhaps Paul or Ace, especially with the solo albums, you can kind of tell where the musical talent was in the band. But
I don't know if Gene did play bass and guitar on the record.
well, actually Neil Jason played bass, but he did play he did play guitar, electric guitar and acoustic guitar, lead
That's
guitar.
cool. Okay,
Right.
I didn't know that.
Well, I was
I
kind
assumed
of
he played the bass.
I was wondering what he played on the album, and I found out that some guy named Neil Jason played bass, Gene plays the guitar,
Yeah.
and then Alan Schwartzberg was on drums.
Didn't
Okay.
he do Strutter 78?
Did he? Ooh,
You'll have to look that up.
he maybe. See, I know he also played on Peter's solo album. A little bit of drums on
What the hell
Peter's
is up with
solo
the
album.
members of Kiss not playing their native instruments on their solo record?
Because they literally just, whatever. But no, you're right.
Shitting out albums at that
That's
point.
exactly
I don't
right.
care.
Why Gene did not play bass and why Peter didn't play drums. Well, Peter played drums on most of his albums.
Yeah,
but
like Gene's album a little less now because
Alan picked up the slack on a little bit. But so I want to talk about some other players that Gene had on his album, because as we all know, it was a star-studded album. So many different guest appearances, and you mentioned the background vocals, the women singing. One of those women was Katie Seagal, the actress. Did anybody know that?
No.
Who was Peggy Bundy in Married with Children.
Wow.
She was one of the background singers on this album before her acting career had taken off. She did a little bit of music.
That's so
And
random.
So she was on this album as one of the background singers.
Because one thing I noticed about most of these albums, not Paul's as much except for a couple of songs, but a lot of them have a lot of that, like the female background.
I was going to
vocals.
mention that.
That's a good point.
Like a lot.
All of them do. Like Move On
Peter's-
from Paul's
like-
solo album, a lot of Peter's album.
It's
Peter's.
heavy on Peter's and Gene's.
Heavy on Peter and
Some on
Gene's.
Ace and Paul's as well, but I notice it a lot.
Do you
And
think-
sometimes I like it, sometimes I don't.
Do you think that's due to like the disco dance? Like, I feel like that was a big part of the
I
whole
think
thing.
I think for Gene it was about style over substance. I think for Paul he was tapping into his Soul Station,
roots.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
not Soul Station, but that music that he kind of was influenced by. It seemed like all of them had that, and you are absolutely right.
Yeah.
Where
Definitely.
I was listening to that and I was like, man, there's a lot of like, what is it, like Motown soul,
Yes.
a lot of like vocals like that you don't hear in Kiss's music, but you hear it in almost every one of the solo albums.
That's
So
that's because that's what they grew up on.
that's what they grew up on.
Well, I think it's partially too to compensate for not having the other band members
Right.
there for background vocals, because sometimes we do get background vocals from the whole band. So In some cases, I feel like it kind of replaced that, and I think it works better on some songs than others.
Yeah, for sure. But I thought it was cool that Katie Seagal was one of the actresses, or one of the guest vocalists on Gene's album.
Sorry, quick. My original question I forgot to get to was it any of the same female vocalists on the 4 albums, or do you know?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
No, I don't
Interesting.
think so. I think they all had.
Because it was like same vibe.
Yeah,
That's
for
very
sure.
True, actually,
that is true. But no, I think they were all different.
Okay.
There was another group that had a name, like the College Girls, City Girls. I forget their name. I think that's not what it was, but
I know what you mean.
Whatever their name was,
Yeah.
they did some background vocals on here too. But also Joe Perry from Aerosmith
Oh.
plays
Yes.
guitar
Yes.
on Radioactive and Tunnel Love, and that to me just gets lost because
Yeah.
I would expect it maybe like, oh, that's Joe Perry, but I don't know, maybe his guitar just there wasn't enough there to
I don't
actually
even remember. Is there a solo on that song? Because
No,
If there is, it doesn't
You
say
don't
that.
really hear
what the
very
hell's
many.
the point of having Joe Perry? Because he could.
See, that's what I'm
Right, if
thinking.
he's not shredding.
He could
What?
bury Ace on the guitar solo.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like you would think that with guys like Joe Perry, I mean, even you got Bob Seger on background vocals.
Bob Seger.
On-
I knew that.
On Radioactive
That
and
I
Living to
didn't
Win.
know.
So Radioactive has Joe Perry, Bob Seger, and of course Gene Simmons. Who else is on it? Maybe Katy Perry, Katie Seagal. You got Rick Nielsen from Cheap Trick
yes.
playing guitar on "See You in Your Dreams."
Whoa.
Kiss
Don't-
and Cheap Trick are like they're all.
They're
always like right there. With
Yeah.
two
Yeah,
each other.
absolutely. And then Donna Summer, it has background vocals on "Burning Up with Fever"
Oh, cool.
and "Tunnel of Love."
That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool to know.
And Cher took one for the team because she was the phone call. Oh my gosh, are you Gene Simmons?
She
Oh my
was
gosh,
not.
I love you. That was Cher.
How did I not know that? Wow.
I know
I know
it's
that,
kind of crazy because she was just you hear her voice kind of muffled like on a phone.
Right.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
But she did the phone call on I forget what song it was.
Wow.
Living in Sin.
Living in
the
Sin,
phone call,
yeah.
Living in Sin.
that is
and
so
so-
funny.
Change that to red.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Thank you, Jeb. We were gonna
Damn.
change these depending on the album we're talking
Good
about.
call. That would have been white the whole
Almost
time.
missed it.
You're absolutely right. That needs to be read. So Gene's album was just full of stuff.
Yeah.
Full of a lot of random people, but it seemed like he was going for more style versus substance. And I think maybe the opposite can be said about Paul's. So is it time to move on to Paul's album now? Because for me, I think Paul's is the best. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. No spoiler alert there. I think that when I listen to Paul's, it's like hearing an actual album. You know, like Gene's like, oh, that's great, good job. You know, you made an album, good job, buddy.
Yeah.
You know, but Paul's is like, you know, this is like a contemporary. This is like a.
It holds up.
It holds up. It packs a punch. There's like lots of musicianship in it, where again Gene just kind of went with his instincts and didn't really overthink it. I think Paul's album was like where he put so much work into it that he was like obsessing over
Yes,
it. Where like he
it's-
goes to bed at night and thinks, no, I gotta like rewrite the song, or I gotta put this in the song, and
Yeah, it's
feel
much
like
more cohesive as an album.
way cohesive
than any of them. Honestly, in my opinion, it is miles better than the other three.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
it's miles better.
It's like inarguably
I
the
think
best.
I think Paul put the most love into it.
Yeah, and
think-
it shows.
Yeah, I think Gene was fine with just, trying to get as many names as he could
Right.
and relying on Casablanca to market it
Yeah.
and, Howard Marks to get the album cover and just, do whatever. But Paul was like, I need to handcraft the single most best solo album that's going to bury these other three guys because you're competing against the other guys
Yeah.
now. This
Yeah,
is a popularity
essentially.
contest pretty much,
Yeah.
know. And so you're kind of proving to the fans, what you're worth and what you're bringing to the table. So for me, Paul's was always just the best of the bunch. So
Yeah. Like right from the get go, like Tonight You Belong to Me is the perfect album opener. It's so
Oh, it's
good.
absolutely.
it starts off
flawless.
It's so
in the most
good.
Paul Stanley way. It's like
Oh.
Black Diamond or I Want You, where
Yes.
it fools you with that
The slow
sweet, beautiful
opening.
guitar,
Oh.
and then it just punches you in the face with
I
that electric
love
guitar.
that.
I love that too. It's a Paul Stanley mess
It's a
around.
great riff.
It's a perfect riff.
Dude,
so
it's such
solid.
an underrated riff writer. I think like as far as the quality of an album goes, I think there's no question that Paul's is superior.
Oh, facts, absolutely.
We should change that to purple.
Absolutely.
Oh, bingo! Yeah. So,
Maybe we should
what
give
we
up on
think?
it.
Is it
No, we made it this far.
this purple? That purple? What's purple?
Oh, that
That
one right
one.
there.
That one right there?
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. There we go. I got a few different ones, but yeah, you're right. So let's talk about some songs on his album, because I think that Tonight You Belong to Me should have been the single.
Yeah.
And Hold Me, Touch Me was the single,
Yeah.
which was a good song,
Yeah.
but I feel like if you're going to aim for a rock audience, you want to put a song that rocks. And I feel like maybe with the best of both worlds, you would get that with.
Yeah, and
Tonight
Hold Me
You Belong
Touch
to
Me,
Me.
I feel like could have worked a little better as a single if it built to more of a rock place, like if it became more power ballady.
Yeah.
I like Hold Me Touch Me, but it's
I Take Me Together as one.
but
That
it's,
one.
Hold Me Touch Me, even though it's great, is actually one of my least favorite on the album
Me too.
Yeah.
because it doesn't. I want it to go somewhere that it never really quite gets.
Yeah.
It doesn't build in the way that I want it to. So yeah, I agree that.
Almost sounds a little too sappy,
Yeah.
even for Paul.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad song by any
No,
means.
no, no.
But you mentioned a song that I was just going to bring up that I think is the most underrated song on Paul's entire
Ooh.
record,
Okay.
which is "Take Me Away Together."
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
it's so good.
I love it.
That
It's
is
one of my
such
favorites too.
a power ballad.
Yes,
man.
that's how you do a power ballad.
His
That's how you
vocals and
do
the
it.
way.
His vocals-
Yesterday. I can't sing. That's what I'm going to try.
For
but-
1978, Paul, you know, like right around like 77, 78 is when his vocals start to get a little more serious.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
This
He
is
is
when
a
he leveled
singer.
up.
Yes,
He was never a singer before that, I feel like. He
Not-
was just
not
like.
until then.
Yeah, no, he was just like, I'm the only one in the band who's going to, be the guy to, like, address the crowd, be that guy.
I feel like until Love Gun, I feel like
Yeah.
that was the point where
You
he
start
really
getting to, like,
stepped
songs
up.
like Rock and Roll Over and Love Gun. He's like, oh, okay, now I'm figuring this out. Because
Yeah.
I think really Destroyer, with working with Bob Ezrin, helped Gene and Paul out immensely.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you get to 78, and the songs that he was writing, I mean, were capable of being songs on their own.
Yeah.
Like, Paul didn't need anybody, didn't help from Gene, didn't need help from Peter and Ace. It was like, this album just was,
Yeah.
on its own, a kick-ass album.
Yeah.
I'll just say it. It was great. I love it.
But yeah, I love that song. Take Me Away. I love his his control over his vocals is just one of my favorite things about him. Like the beginning, he has these like light, like whispery, airy vocals.
In a dream.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. But then it like builds, and you get this more like belting voice. It's such a dynamic song.
You get a little bit of falsetto in there, too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you get it all. Like every
What
part
did
of his
we
voice.
know?
I can hear
he
a
gets
little-
lower in there, too.
I
Yeah.
can hear a little bit of the Elder
Yes!
in just that one song.
Yes!
In just that one
Everything
song.
he was doing comes to fruition on The Elder. Dude, great
True.
observation.
Yeah,
that
I
just
can
popped
hear
in
a
my
little
head.
bit of like Broadway, like Phantom of the Opera, like that,
Snap,
like,
that's where you
like
get
that
it from.
drama. You know
It's
what I
the
mean?
drama. And I feel like that's maybe what Hold Me Touch was. Like you said, it didn't go anywhere. It
No,
didn't do anything.
it didn't
This
build
is
at
a
all. It
song-
stayed the same
Yes.
the whole time.
And Take Me Away Together is well, that's a song that is
Yeah.
the definition of layers. It's
Yes.
building. It's working its way to something final.
The word theatrical, that sounds really good. I think Paul's is the most theatrical.
Yes.
I think Gene's tried to be, and it definitely is, very bright and
There's
colorful.
theater.
That's one way to put it.
There's a lot going on, but Paul's was so emotional and was so, like, perfect.
Honest.
It was very honest.
It was very honest. It
It
was
was-
personal.
It's one of the only ones. Him and Aces were the only ones that stayed true to their character.
Yes.
In the band, if
Yes.
you will.
True.
I
That's
feel
what I wanted out of
Like
Gene.
that's where Gene and Peter's fell apart. Is that even though you were getting pure Gene and pure Peter, you were getting no Demon and no Catman.
Right.
And that did not resonate at all with the fans at that time. And unfortunately, that makes a lasting impression. But this episode is for us to just take a clean look at these albums and just look at
Yeah.
them for what they are. Jeb, the Elder comment was really
Yeah,
good. I
no.
loved that observation.
I see where you're coming from.
Because that was just a few years off. 79, 80, 81. In 3 years' time, they were doing the Elder.
exactly.
And he had some prep work.
in my
with his
head,
solo
that
album.
seems like such a huge gap between the solo albums and the Elder, but in reality, this is.
We often think that Kiss eras are just miles apart,
Yeah.
but it's like, no, Unmasked was right before The Elder, which was right before Creatures of the Night, which
Yeah.
is before Lick It Up. It's like all that happened back to
Well,
back.
because it's crazy because we're so used to, as younger Kiss fans, to living in this kind of era where not much has happened as
Yeah.
far as
Right.
new things coming out for the last 15 years. You know what I mean?
So true.
So,
And the artists that are putting out, the majority of them don't release. They release one album maybe 3 or 4 years.
right.
And
yeah.
A lot
nobody
of
cares.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah.
And well, like a lot of people care, but it's just like artists are not. I don't know what the deal is with the contracts they're signing or the record company is changed in some way because. I was watching a Three Sides of the Coin episode, which is a no-no. I'm kidding.
No, that's a great show.
I don't remember which episode, but one of them was talking about how basically the reason why they were releasing so many, like 2 albums a year in the beginning and then one album every September for the following years,
Yeah.
it's because the record company was forcing.
Oh,
it.
yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were not selling records at all. They were
part of
like,
It's
look,
not like
you
they
need to...
wanted to be in the studio right after Alive or something.
Right,
like
yeah,
that.
no, they did first album, Harder Than Hell, in '74 because
It's not selling.
The first album wasn't moving, so they said, well, let's do another one. And that one didn't work. How about, remember Extreme Close Up? Well, that one didn't work, so how about the next one? That one didn't work, so how about this one? And they're just, bingo, yeah. That's what I think of. And it's like, they're just kind of pushing themselves. Just, all they wanted was a hit. All Neil wanted, because he was the visionary, the hit guy, the pop guy. He said, all you need is one radio hit. Yeah. Find it, and don't stop until you write it. And finally, third time's a charm, you get Rock and Roll Night, which became big on the fourth album. But I love this little trip in history we're doing here. Yeah. This is fun. Go ahead.
Back to Paul's album.
Yes, go ahead. She's got more to say.
I do have much more to say. I really like Ain't Quite Right.
Yes.
That one is like, almost feels like a R&B song, almost. And the guitar melodies on it, like... halfway through the song, the guitar is doing some crazy stuff that, like, if you switched out that same melody from a guitar to, like, a saxophone or something, it'd be, like, just the most killer R&B song.
I do that all the time.
Like, it almost sounds, like, it gives me that vibe. I don't know why.
I never thought about that before.
Like, think about that next time you listen to it, but I really like that one. And then I did want to share a lyrical parallel that I noticed on Wouldn't You Like to Know Me? I noticed a parallel between that and Sure Know Something.
Oh, okay, for sure.
Okay. I'm curious what you're thinking.
Yeah, go ahead.
So on Sure Know Something, obviously, he says, I've been a gambler, but I'm nobody's fool.
Mm-hmm.
And then he also says, she showed me things they never taught me at school. In this song, he says, I've been your lover, but I'm not your fool. So you want to teach me, but I'm not in school.
Oh, interesting.
So I just thought it was interesting that it was like kind of the same thing, but also kind of reversed.
Yeah, you're right.
That's
yeah. There's also a lyric on Paul's, I think it's the same song, where he says, you got the lock, but babe, I've got the key or something like that.
it's you've got the key, but babe, I locked the gate, which makes no sense.
Because the key unlocks the gate.
Right, so she can get in, right? If she's got the key?
I'm pretty sure there's a lyric on Gene's album that says the same thing.
Really?
But Gene says, you got the lock, but baby, I got the key.
Yeah,
so it's the same.
That one makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it's just a parallel between the lock and the key.
Yeah.
And then you made the reference to the other one.
Yeah,
so
I'll never get over that line in that song, in this song, though. I'm like, did you think about that before you wrote it? When you hear it on first listen, like, your brain kind of autocorrects it, so it kind of makes sense. But then when you really sit and think about it.
That is weird, for sure. I was thinking about the song Move On. I feel like Move On is one that doesn't really get talked about a lot, but, like, the way that song is structured lyrically, my mama sat me on a knee. She said, "You boy, you ought to listen. There's a lot you ought to see." That lyrical da 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 da. It sounds very like 50s, 60s rock and roll to me.
Okay.
Or very like, early rock and roll as opposed to like 70s rock. Again, it's kind of like, I guess, where maybe Paul is kind of tapping into his roots or whatever. But that lyrical delivery to me, in my mind, just makes me think of that like 1950s like piano rock.
Okay, I can
my mama sat me on a knee. She told me, "Boy, there's a lot you ought to see. A lot of pretty women gonna try and tie you down."
Yeah.
That song, just the way he's delivering it, to me, made me think of like some old school rock and roll.
Yeah, I can see that.
But
that's a great song.
We talked about the closer on Jeans. And how
You Wish Upon a Star.
You two, not a fan. I liked it.
Yeah.
But I think we can all agree that the ending to Paul's record, Goodbye.
Goodbye is perfect.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. Absolutely. It ties like the perfect beginning and the perfect ending.
That's why you and I put that song on our last year's episode. We did the solo album, and that was both of our final songs because it just felt right.
Yeah, and it's the perfect last song.
That felt quite right. No,
yeah. The melody of the verses on that song is just so good.
I think that just every song on Paul's album has something to offer.
Yeah,
and it's the only one of the four that has no covers. Everybody else covered at least one song.
Oh.
Paul wrote all originals. And I was thinking, like, man, because I listened to it and it was very short. And it ended and I was like, man, I want more Paul Stanley.
Absolutely.
And I look at it, it's only 9 songs. Yeah. And I thought, man, Paul,
it's
you couldn't have wrote one more. But you know what? If you would have wrote one more, it could have taken away from how good that
there's no filler. There's no filler in this
It could have been
album.
a cover. It could have been something else. But he didn't do that. He said, I'm just going to make the most compact, best album I can.
You know what's strange? And he did. That his self-album is like one minute longer than Destroyer is.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's funny how you know that.
Destroyer is like 34 minutes. Paul's is like 35 minutes.
Interesting, for sure. So as far as people that play on his album, I figured I'd go ahead and mention some folks. So of course we all know Bob Kulick played lead guitar on most of the album. Steve Lacy played some electric guitar on Love and Change, which is another really good song. Love and Change.
Yes.
Richie Fontana on drums for the first 4 tracks. Carmine Appice, I could be mispronouncing that name. I know I've heard it many times said different ways.
Appice, yeah.
Carmine Appice, yeah, for sure. So he's on track number 5, and then Craig Kampf plays on 6 through 9. So 3 different drummers, all fantastic. You got Steve Boozlow, I think his name is, on bass guitar for the first 5 tracks, with Eric Nelson finishing out 6 through 9. And who could forget Pepe Castro, backing vocals on tracks 3 and 7. Pepe Castro helped write Naked City with Gene on Unmasked. Yes. So Pepe Castro was also involved apparently with Paul's solo album, so that's really cool.
No Desmond Child, is that too early?
I don't think Desmond was on there.
Because he was around
Yeah, I don't think he wrote on any songs on this. Wow. I don't think so, but you're right, because didn't he write
Dynasty, right?
I Was Made?
Yeah.
I think so.
It was somewhere on Dynasty, probably that.
Yeah, for sure. But so any other thoughts on Paul's album? I think it's immaculate.
10 out of 10.
It's the best of the 4.
It's the best of the 4.
Just album experience, quality of the songs, songwriting, lyric, vocals. Paul did it best.
Yeah, and he's the only one where I feel like this solo album on its own competes with Kiss albums.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is a Kiss.
It is, and a lot of those songs could have been. Whereas the other 3, even though they might be good for what they are, they don't hold a candle to any Kiss album, in my opinion.
Maybe some Ace songs, but definitely
some songs, but not the album as a whole.
Album, no.
Yeah.
But definitely, yeah, I agree that Paul is just the strongest.
Here's a stupid hypothetical.
Okay.
I'm good at those. Let's say you took the best songs from Ace, Peters, and Gene's and put those in. Would that compete with Paul's?
I don't think so.
Well,
Peter,
that would be all.
Well, what are you bringing from Peters?
Whatever you want, you get to bring.
Oh, okay.
You get that away.
I'm still gonna say no because Paul's is just a universal. It's just
and
it's consistent. Too.
I think that's the key to his album.
Gene's is not consistent. There's like highs, there's lows, there's peaks and valleys.
Aces is consistent. Though.
Aces has a pretty good consistency, but Paul's in terms of just.
Yeah, to me, there's something about an album that really puts you in the universe of that album, and like, not that all the songs are the same, because they're not. They're all so different, but like, I don't know, they just all go together so well, and you're just in that world while you're listening to the album.
I feel like if Kiss maybe had disbanded around this time, I think Paul Stanley would have been the one, and Ace, because Ace proved it, but I think Paul would have been the one to have a very successful solo career beyond Kiss, because I just feel like his mindset, again, I mentioned on Gene's how Gene's on his album wasn't quite able to compensate for those other guys. Paul's did.
Yeah.
Bob Kulick, amazing guitar player. You hear those solos and licks? Bob Kulick. Carmen Appice on drums, Richie Fontana. It's like, dude, those are like real drummers.
Yeah.
Those are like, and it stands out. The songs stand out. I feel like Paul was able to be like, okay, you, this is my band. Like Paul knows how to put guys together.
He does. He knows how to pick musicians.
Pick musicians.
He always has.
Who's the guys, who can do what I can't do.
Yeah.
Get them, and let's be the ultimate, group. Gene, was just content with getting big names and as many as possible. Whereas Paul's like, I don't really care about your guys' name. I care about what you're bringing to the table.
Yeah, and
what
Paul has consistently shown since then his ability to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember when we were watching the One Live Kiss performance, all of those musicians on that stage were top tier.
Facts.
And then Soul Station, that's the next thing I was going to say. All of those
Speaks
people, incredible. So he really knows how to find like really talented people that work really well together.
Absolutely.
Except for Kiss.
Hey, he got Eric and Tommy. He
got there eventually.
He did get Eric Singer way back in the solo tour.
It took a while, but hey, after 50 years, we finally found our band. Or he finally found his band. He can keep Gene roped in. He's got Eric and Tommy, so he's got the unit.
Paul's sitting there listening back to his own record once it's finished, and he's like, damn, now I gotta go back to the old
back to
ball
Kiss.
And chain is Kiss. I gotta go back to Peter.
I know, right?
I'm just joking.
I gotta write Dynasty now, but no. Speaking of Peter, I think it's time to move on to Peter because we gave Paul's a lot of love.
Yes, and let's change our color before we start this time.
Good call. We can turn it to jungle green for the cat, Peter Criss. So, Jeb, when's the last time you heard Peter Criss' solo album? Do you even know?
No. Now, hold on. When Ryan was on,
I wondered if it would be.
We talked about
Pierce.
I honestly can't remember if we listened to a little bit of it because he was showing me. We were driving around that day that we did that episode,
Uh-huh.
the last time he was on, and he was showing me the songs that he liked.
Yeah.
And I don't remember them.
Oh, sorry, Ryan.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if have I ever listened to it. I've had to have listened to it all the way the last time I did. I don't know. So I almost have nothing to say about it.
For sure.
And I don't know what to say about it. The songs they sound like background noise to me.
Uh-huh.
Almost nothing catches my ear from it. There's nothing about the album that sticks with me.
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas there's something, although there's a lot on all three of the other ones that like catches me, and the re-listenability is high on those three records.
Yep.
And with Gene, it's mostly those few songs that we talked about. Paul's at the listenability; it's a freaking amazing record. Aces has an addictive quality to it. With Peter's, none of it was bad, but it was almost so boring to me that it did nothing. I would rather him take a chance and do something horrible.
Right.
Like, do something really experimental that just threw people off, as opposed to this really, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's, like, safe. It's contemporary at the time.
It's very, like...
I don't know.
It's got elements
good
of a
word,
lot of...
contemporary.
It's got elements of a lot of genres, but there are songs that are very, like, Motown-y and very, like, soul.
And none of that's bad, by the way.
No.
The fact that he did something different from what Kiss is doing is cool.
Yeah.
It's just that the songs sound fine. It's not like I'm going to listen to the song and go, oh, this is like grating to me. Because the instruments sound good.
Yeah.
His voice is awesome.
His voice is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the best
But,
parts.
like, it sounds like if you just threw on a radio station of whatever genre he's doing, you would just hear that in the background. And you would never go, oh, what is that song?
Right.
You would never go, like, I got to find out who that is. It just sounds like background music to me.
Yeah.
And that, so I almost have nothing. I can't even say anything about each of the songs. I thought Tossing and Turning is good. That's the kind of
sugar papa.
Okay, you know what? That one's kind of groovy. I'll give it that.
That is one of the better songs in a lot of ways. It's just, again, lyrically, and I know not everybody, and, like, you guys aren't as into lyrics as I am, but, like, lyrics do matter to me.
For sure.
And it's just, some of it's just a little cringe.
Yeah,
definitely.
But, I don't know. I have mixed feelings about this album, because some of the songs I actually do really like once you get past what it is, because it's not what you expect from a Kiss member solo album. But I mean, there's a lot of really cool instrumentation, but a lot of it is just really repetitive, which I don't love. Which I feel like if I'm in the right mood for it, it's okay. There's some songs I was really vibing to. You were listening to it last night, and I feel like I want to know what your thoughts were, because you were kind of having a moment.
Oh yeah, I was having a complete refathoming.
Yes.
I was
What
having
song?
the whole album.
The whole album.
Really?
I listened to all 4 of the albums yesterday.
Yeah.
I listened to
I need to.
Paul's on the way into town, and then Ace's on the way back. Listened to Gene's while I was doing some editing and some computer stuff, and then listened to Peter's with Daphne after she got off work. And then I actually went back and listened to Paul's twice because I love Paul's. But so I heard all 4 yesterday, and yeah, I was kind of like, okay, time for Peter's. Gotta force myself to listen to Peter's. Dude, I was actually, for the first time, I was into it.
Right.
And I had to completely abandon my inner rocker.
Yeah.
And I think this is probably the biggest problem with his album, and has been since day one, where a bunch of, like, teens in 78 who are used to hearing, like, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Kiss, AC/DC, and all these bands, and then you hear Peter's album, and it's like, well, this is what my grandma likes.
Right.
This is what my mom and dad like. The music that Peter was playing was music that probably was not cool to the kids at that time.
Yeah.
And that's why it was perceived as a bad album. It's not a bad album.
No.
But it is definitely not a lot of Kiss fans' flavor.
And it's not a rock and roll album.
And it's never been my favorite because of that, because it's not a rock album. It's got songs like Rock You Me Baby, or it's got like songs that mention rock and roll in the title, but none of the songs, like you said, actually stick out to you and scratch that itch. And so for me, I was always that same way too, where it was like, well, none of these songs to me stand out because it's not Rip It Out and it's not Love in Chains and some of these other songs.
Yeah.
So yesterday, while I was editing at the computer and just kind of like chilling, really, usually I listen to the album as background music, like you said. It's a perfect album for if you're going to clean the house and you need something to groove to. It's perfect for if you're moving furniture around, or I know it sounds dumb, but I'm being honest.
That's called passive listening.
It's passive listening, and that's okay because there is a time and a place.
There's a place for that. Yeah.
There's a time and a place for every album, every artist. Sometimes it's in the trash, but in this case, it's okay if it's on the turntable because I think that there is some good stuff here. It's just that if it's not your flavor, it's not your flavor, and it's not my flavor at all. So in order to just kind of like let myself enjoy it, I was like, I need to hear it for what it is, and not what I want it to be.
Yes.
And so I was able to just, even though there was nothing lyrically that really stood out to me, I was able to vibe with some of the production choices that he had.
I actually do really like a lot of the production.
There was some really good production where I was like, oh, like never heard that, never appreciated that. I was like, this is really, really cool. It wasn't making me headbang or anything, but I was like, wow, this is really good. And I think the song that you and I have both come to love a lot is You Matter to Me.
I'm sorry
that's the one that's
synth
on...
or whatever that is at the beginning is just so good. That just gets inside my brain.
And that's
so
the one.
Good.
That's the one that they chose to put on Kiss 40.
Yeah, which is interesting.
And I was like, why? Which of course they put the singles on there, so that's why it was. But at first I was like, well, why would you put that one on there, not Toss It and Turn It? Why would you not put any other song on there? But now I'm like, no, this is really good song. I love that song.
And what I was thinking when I was listening to it last is that Soul Station could literally cover that song and almost any song on this album. Yeah. And I think it would be really good, and I think it would make people understand these songs a little bit better.
I agree.
Because it is that vibe. And if you don't like Soul Station, you're not gonna like this album, and I understand.
And vice versa.
That's fine. Yeah, but like to me, they're like, it's the same kind of genre.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I do appreciate the cohesiveness of Peter's album because it is more cohesive than say Gene's.
Facts.
Because Gene kind of jumps genres, and it's very much a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Whereas Peter's is a lot more cohesive and does kind of maintain that theme, and it feels a little more genuine than most of Gene's as well because
I would agree.
Because doesn't Peter come from like a different musical background than
very
rock and roll,
so.
like
he
before Kiss?
Very much is an assimilated rock drummer.
Yeah.
Yes, he made his career as a rock drummer, but that is not
he was doing
his roots.
Wasn't he doing like jazzy stuff before
very
then?
Jazzy.
That's what I thought,
yeah.
and like that influence shows.
It's not. No, I've seen.
I've heard a lot of people say he never came from a jazz background.
Well, I've seen pictures.
I'm like, I have no idea.
I've seen pictures.
Well,
it's not like
I think people were more talking about how they thought like Peter was a jazz drummer in a rock band, as if he played as if he implemented jazz.
No. Peter just came from not the same background that Gene and Paul did.
He still plays. He does play jazz still now.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna ask. Did you see that where he recently played at that charity event or whatever it was?
Once every 3 years we get a Peter feature,
and it's awesome.
I'm here for it.
It's awesome every time.
On August 26th, Peter Criss made an appearance at the Beauty Foundation for Cancer Care's Beauty Ball. And he played Sing, Sing, Sing with a Swing. It was some old song that was recorded in 1936 by the New Orleans band.
Cool.
But it was made famous by Benny Goodman. And so it's not like he was just playing impromptu. Like, it wasn't scheduled. He didn't practice for it. I mean, maybe he did, but it sounded like it was just like an impromptu thing.
Yeah.
Where Peter was up there playing the drums, and he was, doing a lot of jazz stuff.
It was cool.
Some really sweet drum breaks, and it was awesome.
He looked happy, too. It was great. I'd love to see it.
He does look his happiest when he's playing
not
his
with Kiss.
own.
Yeah.
When he's not playing with Kiss.
Yeah.
I mean, he's I feel like people don't give Peter enough credit for like his love of music and just his passion. Just you can see it when he plays stuff like that. He's just in his own world.
Oh yeah,
and it makes you think we never ever get to see that for more than a minute.
Yeah.
Of Peter really doing something that he believes in.
Yeah.
And I really wish they've made something in that area.
Yeah, me too.
Of music, because he seems to be competent enough at it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying he's like one of the best jazz drummers ever, but the dude can play.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, he's a freaking good drummer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Peter's a good drummer.
And he was my OG. He was my guy. When I first started playing drums, it was Rock and Roll Over I would just play that album back to back on the drums, and that was like my favorite double platinum, and so Peter Criss was always my guy. So we got to see him, getting out and about and playing, for fun. It was for fun. It was for the love of rock and roll. No offense to that's
It's the wrong reference. Boy.
Yeah, well, it's still true. It's for the love of music, it's for the love of the game and the love of being a drummer, and he did it, and it was awesome. But as far as his songs on the album, a lot of them were written for Lips. Back in '71, his band Lips.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
The songs "I'm Gonna Love You," "Don't Let Me Down," "That's Kind of Sugar Papa Likes," "Hooked on Rock and Roll," those were all songs that had been written for Lips back in '71.
I forgot about "Don't Let Me Down." I actually do kind of like that.
That's
Don't Let Me Down is good.
That's a good one.
That was one of my favorites. It's really pretty.
His vocals were just great.
I've always
Peter
loved
was the
Peter's
best singer in the
vocals.
band for the original era of Kiss. Paul had to grow into his singing role, but Peter was just naturally a really good singer.
And he has such a unique and recognizable voice. I love it.
It's very natural. Like, he had no practice, didn't need to. He was just, I'm a good singer because God said so,
It's
and
like-
it was just like, I'm good.
It's like raspy but smooth at the same time. I don't know how else to describe it.
It's very soulful.
Yes.
It's so emotive. He can
Yep.
really emote with his vocals, and he did a really good job on this album. I was listening to one song and said, "Man, this is almost like some Silk Sonic." Like
Yes,
the way he was riding this one beat, this one rhythm. I was like, "Man, that sounds really good."
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna listen to this album on the way home.
I think you should.
You really should.
Because
I
And
think
just-
you might refathom.
I might actually.
I was surprised because, again, I was always so wanting to hear, something like Ace's album, where it's just real heavy. I mean,
Right.
those drums on Ace's albums
Dude.
are insane, and we're gonna
we'll
get there.
get there.
And we're gonna get there because those drums were great, and so you were expecting Peter Criss, the guy from
The drummer.
Kiss Alive, from Kiss Alive 2, the guy with these huge drum kits to be putting out this pounding rock and roll, and he came out with this very soulful, sweet, like bedroom music almost, if you will. But it was almost too mature for Kiss's audience at that time.
Yes,
and it
that's a
was
good
very
point.
much too contemporary
Yeah.
for Kiss's audience. It's a shame because I feel like had this been marketed to a different audience, like imagine the album cover of Peter Criss doing this pose
Yeah.
with a
And
smile on his face and a
a
nice and
tuxedo.
clean cut
Yeah.
with a tux.
Yeah.
That would have sold to so many millions of middle-aged women. It would have been a mega hit.
You're actually so right. It's the complete wrong demographic.
But it was
I
just-
can understand why a lot of people hated it, because this is not a song that almost any teenager, even
No.
myself as a teenager, would like.
Bingo.
You know what I mean?
What's
So
frustrating is that people talk about it when that's and what you just said is the case. People talk about it as if the music blows or something.
Yeah.
right,
right.
if it's bad because
But,
of
like,
that, but
It's like, name one thing that's objectively bad about it.
right,
Right.
yeah.
Everything about
Objectively
the album,
bad, exactly.
Everything,
Objectively.
when you listen to it, everything makes sense. It makes musical sense. It's a proper musical achievement.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just whether that's your thing or whether it's capturing your ear. Like, the album was objectively fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
It actually sounds good.
Yeah.
It really does. And I had a whole, the production on it is what really got me, because I was so focused on the lyrics. Is it heavy? Is there
Yeah.
electric guitar? And so, of course, if you're going to do that, it might strike out in those areas. But in terms of production and just the vibes and the emotion that it conveys, it was on a level that I was not prepared for and have not appreciated since. And so that was my takeaway, was this album is way different than the other ones, but it owns something and has something special to it that I don't think most people are going to give it credit for.
Yeah.
Except for maybe us here and everybody else watching in the comments. But
Yeah.
so this is it's really cool to just take a look back and look at some of these albums. You got something?
I wanted to mention, this is a lyric that we briefly talked about yesterday when you were listening through the album.
Oh,
On Hooked on Rock and Roll.
yeah.
Let's see. Let me find the actual lyric, because oh yes. So the album is or the lyric is vaccinated with a Victrola needle. And when I was listening to that,
Victrola?
I didn't know what that meant, and I was like, I have to know what that is. And it's it's a record player needle. And
Victrola,
so
it was
yeah.
like a big,
Yeah.
it was like a big piece
Right.
of furniture.
Right,
It was like
yeah.
a record player.
Yeah, exactly, like those things.
Vaccinated
Yeah.
with a...
And so
So
I
spit bar.
Good lyric.
yeah, I didn't know that, but I was like, that is actually a really clever, funny
Very
lyric. I
clever.
really appreciated that. That song
Yeah.
wasn't really my favorite on the album, but I appreciated that little throwaway line there.
It's really cool. I like that. Good call. So yeah, Tossin' and Turnin' was actually the cover from Peter. I mentioned how each one, minus Paul, had a cover. So Tossin' and Turnin' was performed by Bobby Lewis, and it was a #1 hit for Bobby.
Is it the only cover?
Not the same for Peter. That is the only song
Okay.
as a cover on Peter's.
I
yes.
actually expected more of these songs to be covers.
For sure.
Just because of the genre of them. But that's interesting to know that the rest were originals.
He
Yeah.
can actually write in that
Yeah.
style pretty convincing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so we had 4 leftovers, 1 cover. The rest were originals for the album. Peter, of course, sings and plays drums on 7 out of 10 songs. And like I said, Alan Schwartzberg plays on tracks 6, 7, and 10. So that's Peter Criss' solo album. And I love it now more than I ever have. And honestly, same with Aces.
See, now I hate myself for not listening to it because maybe next time I listen to it, I'll have that revelation.
Come all the way home, Chloe. You're right, Xander. This album is so good.
This album's my favorite, dude.
Maybe next time you're on, that'll be your spotlight.
Edit the episode.
Now, what I really want to do is call Ryan because
I know
I dogged on him.
he's gonna be so proud of you for having that path.
I know, when he comes back, I'm like, hey, bro, you were ahead of the curve.
Yes, you were
You
right.
knew something before anybody else did. Like, you knew before anybody else. Yeah, you had to
knew something before they did.
You were the weirdo in school with your black nail polish. That's okay. Because you believed in something. You knew something before they did.
That's exactly right, yes.
I'm going
to quote that in the episode. Yes, that is so good. So let's move on to Ace for the solo album now because... Color Switch, and we're going to Blue. You guys like that Blue or that
other
Blue?
one? Yep.
That's Blue. For sure. Okay, so Ace's album, I heard yesterday all the way through, and I love it more now than I ever have. I've always appreciated Aces because it was like trying to be the most heavy. Mm-hmm. It was the most electric. It was the most driving.
Yeah.
Paul went a little sappy and a little ballady, which was fine, but Ace is like, nah, I'm gonna just power
Rock and
through
roll
the whole way through,
mm-hmm.
and that to me I think is what Aces brings best to the table. And I mean the opening song is Rip It Out.
Oh, it's so good.
How do you...
It's one of the best on the album in my opinion.
Every one of them had good openers. Every one of them had good openers.
That's true.
So Ace's album, let's talk about Ace's album.
Ace's album, I don't know what I can say that everyone else hasn't already said about it.
We all agree it's great.
It is absolutely fantastic. I think it's the one that seems to be the most easily accessible for some reason.
Yeah. Well,
because
rock and roll.
It's just really good rock and roll. Just from straight out. He's pulling no punches. He's not doing anything fancy at all. He's just going straight into it. Like you said, Rip It Out. I'm gonna look at the track listing here.
Speeding back to my baby.
Speeding back to my baby. See, and that's the thing. It's rock and roll. It's got the riffs throughout the entire record are awesome.
The riffs and the drums on this album are what make it so good. In my opinion.
The selling point.
Yeah,
is the
definitely.
riffs, how catchy his riffs are.
The drums on "Rip It Out" alone, like when I put this album on, I'm trying to remember which one I listened to before Ace. I can't remember.
Probably would have been Peters then.
I think it would have been Peters, maybe. And then so going from that into Rip It Out, I was like, yes, turn that up.
I'm glad at least one of them went all the way. Like they just went like just balls to the
the drums
wall.
were kicking. Who's playing drums on this album?
So this is Anton Fig actually, who played drums on both Dynasty and Unmasked, next two Kiss albums.
That's correct.
So that's pretty awesome.
I think they picked the best out of the whole lineup of all the solo albums. They're like, I want that guy.
We need that guy.
We need the guy who played on Ace's record.
I actually didn't love Speeding Back to My Baby.
Okay.
I don't know why. I really the intro was really dope, but then after that we get into this like I don't know, something about this tempo that's like
driving down the road.
It's like a chugga. Like it reminds me of like a train.
It's that old school rock and roll flow to me.
I don't like it.
But for sure. But do you appreciate? Like, do you hear what I'm saying? Like, do you hear that?
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. It just doesn't resonate with me.
I wish I could name an artist or a song that I'm thinking of.
Bouncy.
But when I hear that along with "Move On," I'm getting that like old school '50s.
Yeah.
Greaser rock and roll. I don't know, but
for sure.
Anyway, so okay, for sure. So that's not one of you like.
Well, the guitar intro is like
the intro. The intro is the best part. I just felt like it went downhill for me after that.
Snowblind is amazing.
I love Snowblind.
It's such a weird song.
It's such a weird song.
That riff, no one could have written that riff.
No.
Dun 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 dun.
Dun 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 dun.
That actually sounds way heavy. Like, if that were made today on like a down-tuned guitar, that's heavy.
That's heavy.
No, it is.
But it feels like trippy, like almost psychedelic in a way.
It is.
The way it moves, it makes you feel like you're drunk or something.
Yes, there's a couple songs in this album that are like that.
Like the next one, Ozone.
Yes.
That one's trippy.
Ozone is one of my favorites, actually. It's like weird but really cool.
Ozone's great.
It's trippy and it does lean into this space ace kind of thing.
It's
so
like
I really like that.
Repetitive and hypnotic, the way the chorus goes, Ozone.
Oh, I love that. I thought that was so cool. That was so unique.
Go ahead.
I can't think. It might be What's on Your mind, but I was thinking about one of the songs, and I wish I would have made a note on what it was, but I'm pretty sure it's What's on Your mind. But when I heard that one, It really made me think of the songs that you would hear from Ace on Dynasty and Unmasked.
Okay.
And because you have Ace writing and singing and Anton playing the drums. And so the way it was structured in the verse, some of the chorus, and then some of those drum fills too, just really foreshadowed and predicted what you would hear on Unmasked and Dynasty.
Yeah.
And because I don't listen to this album enough, I never put two and two together. So now when I hear that song, I'm like, wow, that's going to perfectly set up, what happens next year and the year after.
Yeah.
But I never even appreciated that until now.
That is my least favorite song on the whole record.
Okay.
Which one?
What's on Your Mind?
It didn't stand out to me.
Okay.
That to me is like the way the chorus goes sounds so like rambly. It kind of sounds almost lazy in a way.
Makes me think of Save Your Love almost.
Yes, and that's not my favorite song for the same reason.
Nope. And yeah, I agree.
I actually like Save Your Love better than What's on Your Mind.
Okay.
Because that one rocks. This one's got like acoustic and electric. I don't know.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds cool, but it's not my favorite song.
Yeah.
New York Groove.
New York Groove?
Has anyone heard that?
This
Maybe.
is to me the oddest one on the album. I mean, I know that it was a huge hit for Ace, and rightfully so. But even when I hear it to this day, it just sounds so... I'm not going to say off, but it sounds so different from the rest of the album.
Oh, okay.
It sounds so out of place. Okay. Because this album is like hard driving rock and roll, and then this one is like...
thrown in there.
A pop song.
Yeah.
That's just like...
Yeah.
Very simplistic. It goes nowhere
Very
necessarily.
Right.
But I love it.
I still love it.
I will say nothing bad about it because it did so well for Ace. And that reflects good on Kiss. So... good job, Ace. It was a great cover. I think he did a great job. It was recorded by the band Hello in '75.
Yeah, I thought it's interesting that it's interesting to realize that it was a relatively new song at the time.
I thought it was older than that too. But
That's
I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with Hello, maybe as much as some other folks would be. So I don't.
I know. I need to go back and listen to the original. I don't even know what it sounds like.
What's up?
Can I say something mean?
Yeah.
You are granted one.
I was going to, so
comment.
you go first.
Oh wow! Okay, everybody's hit on Ace. Go ahead.
I'm a huge Ace fan. Like you can't take anything away from that guy.
Right.
I'm a huge fan. I met him twice. Amazing.
But
take away his ability to do cover songs. What does he have? That was big.
Right. I mean that I agree with.
Take away his last couple records.
Yeah, you're right. It's
take away New York Groove, which was bigger than everything.
Yeah.
Take that away. I still think he would have had like. Take that off the record, you still have a killer record. That would actually change much. So I'm not saying that like all he does is.
But just as far as like success, though.
Well, if you take away,
take away
Eddie Kramer and New York Groove from this album, what do you have?
Ooh, I don't.
And I hate to say that because that's kind of rude.
You could say the same thing about Rock and Roll Over. Maybe they would have gone back to a
exactly. Eddie Kramer, like you need somebody there to kind of keep you roped in, and I think Eddie Kramer did a really good job of taking Ace and making Ace look like and sound like the best Ace that Ace could be.
Yeah.
Because Ace was already coming in with some good stuff. He's the one I think that did the most on his album. He played lead guitar, rhythm guitar, vocals, and played bass.
Nice. Wow. Yeah,
everything
definitely the most.
But the drums.
Wow.
Anton Fig did drums. Carl Tallarico did some drums on Fractured Mirror. Will Lee played bass on Ozone and I'm in Need of Love and Wiped Out. But the rest of that bass and guitar, all of it was Ace.
Yeah.
Vocals,
so
Ace.
Cool.
Writing songs, that was Ace, maybe a couple other folks, but like Ace did the most on his album, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas Gene was like, hey, get like this guy and this song and that guy and that song and whatever.
Gene can organize. He's more of a manager.
Gene, well, Gene is really exactly.
He delegates.
That's what I'm talking about. Like the other
production manager.
The four guys in Kiss each brought something to the table, and those were all missing from each other's albums.
Gene's an ideas guy.
Gene's a very good ideas guy.
Yeah.
He can orchestrate and he can manage and produce and. Paul's a good songwriter, very melodic. Ace is a player from hell.
Yeah.
Gene's job is delegation.
Peter has soul.
Exactly.
Peter has voice. I mean, Peter, So each of the four guys each brought something that was maybe missing from the other four.
Yeah.
But, Ace's album, undeniably great.
Can I say my slightly mean thing?
You may say your mean thing about Ace.
It's not mean, it's just personal preference. I hate to say it. I love this album musically. It's definitely one of the best of the four. I have never been a big fan of Ace's voice.
I know you were gonna say it.
I'm sorry, but there's something about it that just bothers me. I think some people would find this charming, and I understand why. But something about the laziness of the way he sings, and the way he like kind of slurs words, just really irritates my brain, and it makes it hard for me to listen to songs that I would otherwise really like.
That's been my issue too with Ace, and that's why I think when he did release comment, he was right to have somebody else take lead vocals, and that's what made that band so great was, again, I think and Ace himself knows that he's not the strongest singer. That's why he didn't sing anything until Love Gun.
Right.
Until Shock Me. And then, I think it was, sheer willpower and confidence that got him through this album.
Yeah.
Because, we all know that he was very shy and reserved about singing lead vocals, but because he's always a good songwriter and he's always been a good guitar player.
Yes.
So this is, I think the reason why Ace's album did so well is that Ace is the one that stepped up to play the most. You know what I mean? Like
Well, let's be fair. He had a huge advantage over Gene and Paul.
Okay, what's
what?
that?
Because Gene and Paul have already written a lot of their... They've been writing songs for their albums for years. Ace had all this time. This is his first record.
Right.
I mean, barring a couple songs where he, like, on Harder Than Hell, he wrote...
Right.
What was it? Strange Ways.
He wrote Strange. Yeah, he wrote Getaway
but
on.
Still, like Gene and Paul had all of their amazing songs. They already had like Love Gun. They already had everything before that, which was incredible.
Yeah,
Gene and Paul mostly wrote it.
Right.
So Ace had all that time to keep songs in the bank. So
which he did.
That was his huge advantage.
Right.
It'd be weird if he didn't.
Yeah. And he also had the most expectations to meet because everybody was kind of familiar with Gene and Paul and even Peter more so than Ace.
Yeah.
Ace had one lead vocal and that was really it. And what's funny is that Dax and I did an episode recently talking about Kiss in 73. I got this CD from the Daisy in 73, like Kiss's like 19th concert ever or something like that. Wow. And throughout the show you heard both Gene, Paul, and Peter all talking to the crowd in between songs.
So one of them wrote about that in their books, about how Peter wouldn't shut up to the audience.
Oh, really? For sure.
I think it may have been... I can't remember if it was Gene or Paul's, but one of them...
Interesting.
Talked about how annoyed they were that Peter wouldn't quit talking to the audience.
Interesting, for sure. Well, I thought it was cool from a fan's perspective.
Oh, it is cool. I love it.
Because we know Paul is the ringmaster.
Yeah.
But here you're seeing Gene saying, hey, check out our mailing list. Go in the back and then Peter says, thank you to Sid for hiring, or for, having us come out and play. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So
it's cool.
You hear 3 of the 4 guys talking, and it's like, I was really wanting Ace to come up and just say hi, say thank you. Because Paulie said, Ace, you want a boogie? And I'm assuming he, nodded his head. Because you didn't hear him say yes.
Ace is
like
on
that.
The floor.
But Ace was always the one that was the most reserved. So I felt like he had the most room to kind of shine, if you will.
Yeah.
And so everybody hearing Ace with his riffs and his vocals, his songwriting, and just him playing bass, and it was like, dude,
He had a home run.
He hit a home run.
He did.
Yeah, he did exactly what he needed to do.
Paul's was a 10, but you go, yeah, that's Paul's. It's a 10.
Yeah.
Gene, Peter, come on. What are you guys doing? Yeah. Whoa, Ace put out that record?
Yeah.
Man, and that's why he got 3 songs on the next album and 3 more on the next album.
Yeah, because he proved himself.
Had a really good solo album. So I think this was a really, really good a good moment for Ace because it really showed, I think it proved to himself that even if there are some folks who don't like him as a vocalist, that he can still do it.
Yeah.
And he can still confidently get up there, sing, write, perform, and it's the album speaks for itself.
I actually really liked Wiped Out.
Oh yeah! Oh yeah!
Fun.
That one I really liked. It was so fun.
Yes.
The talk singing thing that he does a lot worked a lot better on this song than I think it does on other songs.
Yeah,
it fits so well, and it's another one of those.
Character. He's becoming the Ace character.
Yes,
in that song.
That's what I'm talking about. This and Paul's were so on point with their characters.
Yes.
I mean, even the freaking name of the song, Snowblind, Ozone, Wiped Out, Fractured Mirror, those are the most Spaceman songs you ever heard. Because all you have so far is just Shock Me.
Right.
That's the only song you have. This album was the album where it's defining his character. Because everybody else, God of Thunder and some other songs, those were character defining songs. But Ace really didn't have that, barring Shock Me. And so, home run. And then Fractured Mirror, if I could, real quick.
Yeah.
I was going to mention some other songs from Kiss Meets the Phantom, or Attack of the Phantoms, but I kind of forgot. But I'll mention this one too, because I forgot that they used Fractured Mirror in Attack of the Phantoms during one of the transition scenes for some background music. And so when I heard Fractured Mirror start, and I was like, why am I loving this? Why do I love this more than I should? And I kept thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, it's used in that one scene in Attack of the Phantoms, and I thought that in Attack of the Phantoms that it was just random stock
score
Hanna-Barbera music, I was like, well, this is the best Hanna-Barbera music ever. No, it was legitimate Ace Frehley music, so that's
pretty cool.
That's why it was so good.
You know what? That never ever occurred to me how kind of how well that could work as a film soundtrack.
Like a film
Yeah.
or a TV or
And
something like that.
good
Ace
instrumental.
has some good instrumentals under his belt over the years, as you know,
Yes.
on his solo records.
Speaking of TV, I don't know what show it was, but the song New York Groove by Ace was used as the theme song for a TV show.
Oh.
And I forget what the name of the show was, but I guess I could look it up real quick.
Look it up.
Yeah, it says it was the opening theme for the first 2 seasons of the American cable show, the reality series New York Inc.
Oh, interesting.
Oh my gosh, it's been played on the USA Network in a promo for White Collar. It was played in Entourage, the TV show.
I've seen it on television commercials.
It was the
WrestleMania
opening.
34?
It was used during WrestleMania 34 as the official promotional theme for the upcoming 35 WrestleMania. It was the opening theme for NBC's The Blacklist, season 5, episode 1.
Dang.
So
Isn't it also in a deleted scene from Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yes.
True.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and I cannot believe that was deleted. That just upsets me so much. Kiss was almost canonically in Marvel.
Yeah.
And that would have just been amazing. So if you guys haven't seen that deleted scene between Star-Lord and Drax, aka Batista, go check it out, featuring New York Groove, because that was pretty awesome.
I got a question.
What's your question?
On one of your recent episodes, I didn't watch it. I still haven't finished it, but it was the episode
Wow,
you did.
Jeb.
Well, fuck you. I'm kidding. One of your recent episodes when you did the songs that didn't translate well live.
Yes.
I didn't get through all of it, so do you remember what all 5 years were? Because I have a question about.
I chose Rise to It, Within, Pledge State of Rock and Roll.
Yes.
Samurai Sun was my last one, and Dr. Love.
Okay. No one asked me, but I am going to put my input on this.
Okay.
Go for
Because
it.
it is relevant to the
Oh, snap.
New York Groove sucked live.
Gotcha. I knew you were going to say that
that
for
would
sure.
be my number one that did not translate.
I can see that.
Even on the Brooklyn Bridge, the New York Groove, I like that version. It was okay.
I'll have to revisit it. I love seeing Ace because he always brought that guitar out.
Yes, the light up one.
The lights flashing up and down
Yeah.
the neck and the body. Super cool, but that song doesn't move good live. It's so. There's
It's
no
too
magic
slow.
there.
It does
It's
have
like-
a pretty slow tempo.
It's like Within.
How do you even play that live? Yeah.
Have you heard Within live? Within live, or Within
On the
is,
Kissology.
yes, exactly. Within is great in the studio, but live it just sounds too slow, too
Right.
lazy.
It
Right.
doesn't work. There's something about the production that carries it in
Yeah.
a way.
Yeah, and New York Groove did not translate well live. I don't think.
So
either.
if I did a video, I don't know what my other ones would be, but that's like the one that I kept thinking. One of them's got to say New York Groove because the way they. And maybe it was cool to be there and hear it live because when you're there, it's a completely different experience.
Yeah.
Facts.
If I had watched a tape of every live show I've ever seen by any band, maybe I'd go ooh.
yeah,
Like because when you're there, it's all
It's
magical.
different, yeah.
Unless it's really bad.
yeah, it's gotta
Unless
suck
it's
pretty
noticeably
bad for it
bad.
to be like, ugh.
Even when we saw Kiss in 2010, when Paul's voice was really starting to get bad.
I had no idea.
When I was there, couldn't have. I had no notes, Paul. You're doing great.
Yeah, I was
10
like,
out of 10,
keep it up,
buddy.
Paul. You're doing
Sound
great.
like you always have.
And then we heard the
And we heard
flash
the
drive, and
flash
I was
drive.
like, wow.
We're like,
Because you were probably singing over him the whole time anyway, so.
well, that and everyone else around you,
Right,
and the
yeah.
distortion from the, like, oh no, the distortion was coming from him. His vocal cords were distorted.
Speaking of that recent podcast episode that you did with Brant, there was a comment that Brant made that you wanted to bring up.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Yes. So
It's good. It's a good
Brant
analogy.
had because he spotlit Paul's solo album from '78.
Yeah.
Right.
And he said Paul's solo album is like fine dining, a
Yeah.
sit-down restaurant. It's
Yeah.
a really good
Like-
three-course
gourmet.
meal. Gourmet meal.
Yeah.
Ace's is like the best fast food you could think of. I'm thinking Five Guys, Freddy's, just the
Yeah,
burger
not
joint,
in a negative
Jaggers.
way.
Like think of like the best fast food where you're like, I need to go get this now, and it's gonna be the best. That's Ace's album.
Yeah.
And then somebody in the comments finished out that analogy and said Gene's solo album is like convenience store sushi and one thing off every aisle. And Peter's album is like a nice fine cigar.
Actually, no, don't be offended by that because that's not necessarily a bad thing either. Because
like
it's
it.
just it's just a hodgepodge. But of good snacks.
It's
you
like
know what I mean?
it's like going on a road trip.
Yes,
you
going to
stop
the
at the gas
station.
station. You're like, I'm getting powdered donuts. I'm getting a candy bar.
I'm getting combos.
I'm getting Cheez-Its and a Polar Pop. You know what I mean? And that's Gene's solo album.
Here's how I view it. To me, Peters is like a salad.
Okay.
Salad.
You gotta re-listen.
Might be good. No, I like salads. I'm just saying. It's just not my favorite thing always. But it's something new.
Okay.
You're not always going to eat a salad. You're not always going to listen to Peter's album. Now, Paul's, I totally agree. Full course meal. You're sit at fine dining or sitting down, you're going to enjoy it.
Red
Yeah.
Lobster.
Aces
yeah.
is like so easily accessible.
Yeah,
fast
like
food,
fast food,
McDonald's.
yeah.
But to me, Gene's is actually dessert.
Okay.
Because
that's
Jeans
a
is
more generous
dessert.
way.
that's how I would do
That's
it.
a more generous way to read it.
Okay. Yeah.
I can respect that.
Yeah,
Because
for
Gene's,
sure.
it's like, it's crap. You love it.
It's crap, but there's something to say.
Something so tasty about it.
For me, it's dessert because it's like, this is,
I like
wow.
that, but I do still really like Peters as
A fine cigar.
A fine cigar that really fits.
A Cuban cigar.
yeah.
Because
Not everybody smokes, but if you do, this is what you want.
and I can see someone like sitting back and enjoying that album to a cigar. You know?
Yeah,
what I
see,
mean?
Peter was
Like a
hanging
good
out with.
scotch.
Yeah.
Peter should have been hanging out with the Frank Sinatras. He was.
Right.
Dude.
He should have been making that kind of music, and
Yeah.
instead he was hanging out with freaking guys like Gene and Paul. And
Hanging out with Ace. What the
Peter
hell?
could have had a whole different career. He could have been a sophisticated.
Screw the cat, man. He could
Yeah,
have been...
he could have been the scat man.
That's good.
He could have been.
No, that's-
Anyway,
Wow.
so there was one last thing I wanted to mention on this episode because this has been such a fun episode. I hope everybody else is loving this as much as we are. I have one last thing to say, and this I think is the most important
Okay.
because we talked about the music, these albums, the guys who made them. But can you tell me the name of the guy who painted the album cover?
Nope.
Cannot. But I would love to learn. Please enlighten me.
I did not know his name until last night. I said, I wonder who did that. His name is Eraldo Carugati. He's an Italian painter, and he was commissioned by Dennis Wallach to do these arts. Now, he was not somebody who did album covers. He was
Okay.
very much just a normal, not a normal painter, but he just did, paintings.
Traditional painter.
He was a very egoless guy, apparently, that when Dennis got him, he was like, this is the guy, he's going to do it and do it right. And apparently, we talked about the neck, and even Brant mentioned the V-neck on the solo album. I might get a couple out just to show what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I'm invested in this now because I never really considered it.
He did an amazing job. They're beautiful.
They look like photographs almost.
Yeah.
Because it's an exact likeness of what
Yes.
they actually look like with
Yeah.
the makeup on. I'm sure he did it from a photo
have so
reference.
Okay. Okay, here we go. So, I don't know how well you guys will see. I'll just put pictures on the screen for you guys. But you guys can see here how the V-neck on this one is very noticeable.
Prominent.
Oh, wow.
The neck is,
sure.
and this one is fading out.
What the hell?
Yeah.
So Dennis, when he saw these first being made, Eraldo had done a very sharp, jagged V-neck down here at the edge, which Dennis was like, no. It has to be fading out. It
Yeah,
needs to be
soft all
It needs
around.
to be soft. It needs to be classic, timeless. It cannot have any,
Harsh lines
any
like that.
harsh lines
Yeah.
like that. So right then and there, he was able to like airbrush it and fix it. So I'm not sure why some of these versions have
Have the V-neck.
such strong, harsh
That's
V-necks.
gotta be a first pressing versus second pressing thing.
Well,
Because there are pressings that made it out with...
Oh yeah,
R&B.
with yes, absolutely.
Because that's happened to albums before where they release it and they say, we gotta change something.
But but they were touched afterwards because during the production, Dennis made sure to catch it before they went any further, so that every
So they
one of
didn't
them.
So somebody added to
So
it.
somebody afterwards, when they were going overseas or being different repressed, the artwork was modified because according to Dennis Wallach, the guy who commissioned this guy, he was there seeing the first ones being done and made sure to say no. Before we go any further, these
Fix
have
that.
to be fade. So he sent it down the hallway to the airbrush
see
guy,
that first.
and he figured out how to get it. So somewhere along the way, when these were being reprinted and repressed, the artwork was changed. It was modified. But one of the most, I think, the best thing I found out about, because I wanted to make sure I knew who this guy was, because these are some of the most iconic images.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a poster right there. These are the most iconic images in all of history. Next to, I would say, Kiss Alive, Destroyer, Love Gun,
Yeah.
and maybe even the first Kiss album.
Yeah.
And of course, there's many others, Dynasty and even Creatures. There's so many iconic images of Kiss, but no doubt that these four images of the 78 solo album are the most iconic images in all of history. And
Yeah.
I can guarantee that none of us even knows who this guy is.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because he contributed so much to Kiss Street. And I think he was paid a one-time fee. That's fine. But I wanted to make sure that his name was remembered because Eraldo did it to the highest standards. Because even when they were showcasing these to the team, not the band, but like just everybody in the offices, they were like, Jeans looks cool, but it needs something extra. Like, why is there something missing from Jeans? He went, let me try something. And so he pulled out the paint from his pocket and painted that blood on there, right there in the moment. Shit. And Dennis was like, he walked away, said, he just screwed it up. He just ruined all this. I can't even look. And then he came back and said, oh, please be good. And it was exactly the way you see it on the album cover. Perfect. The blood was the exact right touch that was needed. And so that was a cool story. I found I found that interview that Dennis Wallach did with, I forget if it was Kiss FAQ or with somebody else, but it was just a really, really awesome interview to get a snapshot in time of these iconic images and the story that went into it. So Eraldo, hats off to you. I think he passed away several years ago.
Well, it's only fair. I mean, these are just as almost just as iconic as Ken Kelly's paintings.
Yeah. Bingo.
Absolutely. I mean, and everyone knows Ken Kelly.
That's true.
So,
yeah, he passed away too. It's like these guys are passing away. It's like it's up to us to keep their memory alive because they have contributed some of the most tasty artwork that I've ever seen. And apparently it's worth something because it's lasted this long. I mean, Dennis was like, I need something classic, something timeless, nothing trendy. And I mean, he made the right call and he got the right guy to do it. So hats off to Dennis, hats off to Eraldo. He even did Fly By Night by Rush in 75.
Oh, that's cool.
And I think it was his work with Playboy that got Dennis's attention. But yes, that album cover for Fly By Night.
Is that the one with the owl on the cover or is that a different one?
Could be.
Fly by night, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. I don't know.
Yeah, the song lyrics. I know for sure.
I don't know any other lyrics.
No, I don't either. But
I don't know Gaddy Lewis.
I know the...
Hold on a second. I think...
It's their second album, and yes, it is.
The one with the owl on it?
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a cool cover. So this is the first pressing of this. So are you sure it's not possible that they accidentally let these go and then corrected it after the fact?
Anything is possible. I'm
possible.
I'm not going to say I know everything.
Well, this is the first pressing. I just looked it up.
And just because that's how one person remembered it doesn't mean that...
Well, that's so cool that I've never noticed the difference because it's subtle, but it's completely obvious to me now.
Yeah.
But there is a clear difference in the colors.
I didn't know. I did not know about this till you and Brant did that episode the other day.
That's a first pressing. It's got all the... What's the number on it?
NBLP 7124.
Okay. Oh, whoa. So one... Okay. So...
But this is coming from the spine, which I can barely read.
This one is 7123.
So that's later pressing.
How was it 7123?
Hold on. Oh, it is 7123.
Okay.
That's the first pressing.
Okay.
Does it have anything after the 7123?
No, but look at this.
This one does, so maybe this is a later pressing.
Maybe.
For the fans watching, I'll do this for you. Here's one of the posters that it came with.
Oh, you got the poster.
Which we've all seen it, but it's just...
I love it so much.
It's so iconic.
It's so good.
Now, who was the guy that did these?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Now, who wants to see me unseal this sealed Paul Stanley?
Oh my god!
Don't you open?
Don't even.
That's why I got this one. This one's the one that has all the inserts and everything in it. Actually, bro, it does have all the inserts in it. So that one's sealed all the inserts. This one's the first pressing with all the inserts in it.
I gotta find out if this is the real first pressing because this one actually has NBLP 7123 and then it's got a -7 something else. So maybe. Because this one only says the first pressing is 7123, but this one's got numbers after.
So it could not be a first pressing then.
What does it say? 798? I need a Kiss vinyl expert to help me.
We may never know.
Find it out.
Are you on Discogs right now?
Yes.
I was going to say, if you're on Discogs, you should be able to find it. Get in there before I rip his poster. Just kidding. I'm not going to rip his poster.
Please be careful.
I'm just kidding. I'm going to rip his poster.
Let me take that off your hands.
I'm pretty sure this is the one that you used to own. Is this not the one with the clipped corner?
This one's got a clip corner on it too.
Well, they all got clip corners, but this is the one that you owned first that you gave me because this is the first pressing with all the inserts in it.
That was a long time ago, yes. Yeah, because you...
A long time ago. Sorry.
A long
time ago. So are you going to sit there and find that out or what?
Dude, it's going to drive me nuts.
All right, well, I'll tell you
This is what
what.
I do at home, by the way. I'm just like, let me.
So you should know
Let me
me.
catalog all my shit. Well, I don't have this one. I gave it to you.
By the
That's
way,
my copy.
in the middle of the cut, I'll show you. I grabbed like almost every single one of my solo
my
albums,
gosh.
trying to look for. What the heck is this? Is this a bootleg? A bootleg got in here somehow. Whatever. Anyway, yeah, I have way too much solo records. Yeah, that's not even actually all of them. Actually, there's more than that. But real quickly, as we're wrapping up here, did anybody notice that on Gene Simmons' CD, the solo album, the CD original version, tracks 1 and 2 are split wrong? So Radioactive ends after the intro, and Burning Up with Fever, track number 2, is both Radioactive and track number 2.
What?
That makes no sense.
It was split wrong. So track 1 on the CD player in the car would play only the intro, and then track 2 plays both the first 2 songs.
That's so weird.
But in '97, when it was remastered, it was
They
fixed.
fixed it.
But it's just kind of weird how that happened, because that never happens.
And how, like, I just don't understand, like, how that gets past so many people before it goes out.
Well, you know what's funny is that, speaking of that, read me track number 4 on Paul's album.
Wouldn't you like me to know?
Close, but no
What?
cigar.
Nope, that's Peter's album.
Yes.
Would you like me to know?
Would you like me to
can't.
know? You can't.
Wow, that is
So,
so fascinating.
There's just a few little...
This also has a V-neck.
Paul with a V-neck.
Yep.
There you go.
I'm never gonna unsee that now. I
I
never
know.
would have noticed.
Brant's the one
Thank
that
you, Brant.
mentioned that, so...
I'm getting to the bottom of this.
The bottom of
I'm
the
not
one
getting
V-neck or
anywhere.
this first pressing?
Both.
I'm debating whether we should let him wait it out or not.
I know.
I'll
can
get back
only-
to you in 2 weeks.
I can only keep stalling this episode for so long.
You do whatever.
Well, how was the blood orange? Was it good?
Delicious.
Can I
Do you
have
want
one
some
more
more?
drink?
You can
I
finish
do
it if
want
you
more.
want. I'm good.
Well, yeah, for sure. I'll finish both of these.
I know you will.
Does that say 7, 8, 9?
Yeah, I'm a fan of the blood orange. Highly recommend. You're chugging it.
Yep, I'm waiting for Jeb.
Hey, yep. Well, you want me to finish it?
No, waiting for you to figure out your stuff.
Yeah.
I thought you were waiting on me to drink this.
Finish your research, son.
My internet here. I'm blaming your.
You're not even on the Wi-Fi.
Shit. That'll do it. Oh, I went to Google Images.
I'll tell you what, we'll figure that out later.
Yes, let's wrap it up.
We'll do it in post, all right?
Yeah, there you go. We'll figure it out. So anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us. And leave us in the comments your thoughts on each of the 4. What you thought either back then or today especially. You know, did you have any changes in opinions? You know, did you hear one album one way one day and then hear it
One
differently the
day.
next? Like me with Peter's album, I've heard Peter's album differently. I have a newfound respect for that album. I'm going to listen to that. Jeb, you good over there?
I'm multitasking.
He's multitasking. He's not doing a very good job. But anyway,
I'm doing this, doing that.
subscribe
I'm
to
doing
get
a
Jeb some help.
podcast. Like this video if you want me to.
Like this video and
figure this
subscribe
out.
to get Jeb some help. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you coming back, though, to film with us. It's always good to have you on the show.
Yeah, well.
Well, it's been fun having the 3 of us because we've never got to do this before.
That's
Absolutely.
True. It's getting warm in here.
It is.
What
It
is
is.
the deal? It's getting hotter than hell.
It's this room.
That's
I don't know
that's
why.
another good album.
Dude, my internet. What the hell?
If you figure it out, we'll stick it in here somewhere.
Yes, and then in the next time, we've had to change of plans. So in the next episode, I was thinking about doing a Crazy Nights album celebration. Because September is also the month that album was released in, but I kind of forgot that it's 2023. Lick It Up came out in 83. It's the 40th anniversary, so I think next time we're going to do a Lick It Up anniversary celebration.
Nice.
And we're going to go track by track talking about Lick It Up. And Jeb, you're going to miss that episode.
Well, you know, I'll be there in spirit.
You will be, because I know it's a good album. I know that's one of your top 5.
It's. I don't know if it's still in my top 5 or not.
Yeah.
Because
fluctuates, doesn't it?
I love it. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Well, I'm excited to just listen to it again and just
Yes.
give our thoughts about it next time. We'll go track by track and talk about some of our favorite songs, the music videos
Yeah.
that on the album.
Ooh.
And yeah, it'll be really fun.
Oh,
So
the music videos.
thank you guys so much for joining us on episode 65 of Kiss Army Things. We'll see you next time. Until then, my name is Xander.
My name is Daphne.
My name's Jeb.
Peace out.